How's it going, muchachos? Listen, it's a big week for UK cinemas, mainly because we're finally getting that new David Cronenberg film which came out a while back everywhere else, so thanks for that, world. It's only bloody Crimes of the Future, which has been very high up on my anticipated films list this year. But listen, I'm more of a present kind of guy, right? Crimes of the Future? I'll bloody do one now. I don't care. I'll do a crime. I'll do a crime right now here in the present, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Oh my god!
I should put that back up though, that's... Crimes of the Future. Listen, I've been incredibly excited for this one. We love a bit of David Cronenberg body horror, who doesn't? And to summarise what this one's about, how long have you got? It's set, surprise, surprise, in the future. See what you did there with the title of this one, Cronenberg, you crafty fellow. And essentially people's bodies and organs are evolving in ways which are trying to be controlled by the people in power at the time. And the film follows a performance artist that uses his body's evolutioning. But really, it's one of those films where even if I describe to you exactly in crisp detail the things that happen in this film and the things this film's about, your overall thought's probably still going to be and I think watching the film will still surprise you in many different ways. And I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a really solid, layered and rich atmospheric time from David Cronenberg, which has all the staples that you'd come to expect from him as a director, particularly in the body horror regard, and in the way it creates and displays the world that it's setting up, because it's a world and a future which has so many different things going on within it, and it takes a very specific talent to ride that line between being too heavy-handed with some of the more kind of, I guess, dystopian sci-fi elements and all the different things that society's doing at this time, but then also being too kind of vague and subtle to the point where as a viewer you're like, well, I don't know what's going on. I think one of my favourite things about Crimes of the Future is that Cronenberg rides that line really, really well, and I just found it more engrossing and interesting for that. And as such, it weaves in a lot of really interesting sort of thematic questions in there. A lot of questions about art itself and what it means to be an artist and what it means to absorb art, but also perhaps the more obvious themes of bureaucracy and control. I'm not convinced that all of those themes are sort of done as much as I would have liked to see them done, and it does feel like some of those are only sort of hinted at where I would have liked to have seen it dive a bit further into it. But the film is at least an interesting enough tapestry of those ideas for it to work. And I like the way that the body horror stuff, all of that classic stuff that you get from Cronenberg films, is able to pull those themes out in an interesting way. I'm reluctant to go too far down that whole, this is the craziest thing you'll ever see, this is people are passing out sort of thing for this film. I do think realistically this isn't the most outrageous thing I've seen. I'm not even convinced it's the most outrageous thing we've seen from Cronenberg, but the body horror moments in here are really satisfying and effective from there. Some really great prosthetic stuff that just makes you feel icky. 27-year-old dude just used the word icky in his YouTube review. We'll carry on. I think it all works really, really well and creates a really effective atmosphere. It's super mysterious, not just in the sense that you're learning about this world, but it's an incredibly sort of dark, mysterious, noirish sort of world as well. And that comes through in the visuals and the locations and the sets, which are very sort of concrete, metal steely. But I really love the way that this film looks. It's got a really kind of dirty feel to it in every aspect. The sort of bony body stuff in here really, you know, when you're like, oh, that's horrible, well done. But I was also really surprised as well by the score here from Howard Shore. And I don't say surprised in that, like, so Howard Shore's Howard Shore, you know? He's one of the great composers for a reason. We know the dude's versatile, and he's delivered amazing scores before, not least for other David Cronenberg films. But I was surprised in this, I always forget that he's got shit like this in him, and it's just a really creepy, weird score that complements everything so well, and is again part of the reason why the atmosphere I think works so well in this film. Viggo Mortensen's in the film again, not his first Cronenberg turn, and I love Viggo Mortensen, not my favourite Viggo Mortensen role, and I think sometimes veers a little bit into borderline being a bit too much with the kind of voice he's doing and the fragileness, weakness, frailty of his character. It works and it's essential to the film, but sometimes it's... What are you saying, Viggo? Speak up, mate. Lea Seydoux in the film as well as his kind of sidekick. She's really good. I kind of couldn't help but feel like she was somewhat underused in the end. I think it sets up her character really interestingly, and I don't know, it sort of feels like her character ends up taking a bit of a backseat to things where I would have really liked to see her explored a little bit more. But her and Viggo work really well together, and there's something kind of really peculiar and strange and creepy about their relationship that you just want to watch and learn more about. But by far the standout for me, and maybe this isn't gonna be a surprise for anyone, is Kristen Stewart. But I didn't expect her to give a turn like this. She's having so much fun, I think, with her character, and it's so always just focused on her, everything she's doing in this film. Every scene that she's in, it's like, cool. Let's just watch Kristen. Just this really kind of seedy, horny bureaucrat, which just must have been nuts to perform. It's not a film without its problems, though, and I don't think it necessarily feels like it has the steam to get it through the entire runtime here. It definitely started to feel a little bit... It never got boring, but there's a bit of a lull where it can start to feel a bit repetitive in the way the narratives are approached, and when you start to learn things about characters and who characters are working with in the film, there's a little bit of a kind of rinse and repeating, getting stuck in this one feel and this one moment for too much of the film. Luckily, it pulls itself out of that, and I actually really enjoyed the ending, although I've seen some people criticize the ending as a very abrupt ending that didn't seem to complete the film or the story. I actually disagree very strongly with that. I think the ending of this film is the exact ending that I was kind of hoping it would go down. I think from a character perspective, the ending does a really good job of framing the whole film, but I do appreciate why it feels like certain threads are just kind of cut end. I also do kind of feel like once certain things have been revealed in the film, I almost would have liked it to go a little bit further in the kind of body horror element and just the more fucked up nut shit. And I can't lie, there's about 5 minutes in the final act where I knew that the film was trying to suggest something to me, but I didn't necessarily know exactly what it was saying or doing. Like, I felt like I kind of missed something. There's, I think you could call it, some twists in here. There's definitely turns that the film wants to posit as surprises, but I'm not sure it's as coherent as it wants to be in that sense. And I think being just a little bit more of a in its direction might have helped things land a little bit more there. It's not going to be for everyone, that's for sure. But I find myself just super engrossed and intrigued by a lot of this film, which is good. Good thumbs up. It's out over here in the UK this week, but as I said, it's been out elsewhere for a while. So let me know if you've seen it and what you thought about it. I'm interested to see different perspectives on where this film ends up going. What did you think about the ending of this one? Let me know. Of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see me talk about more shit, links down there to subscribe, hit the bell icon, means you won't miss any new reviews. About to be coming into a very, very fat time on the channel because the London Film Festival is popping up, so get excited for that. You're gonna want to stick around. My socials are down there as well. You can find my letterbox and follow me over there. I'll see you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films, but until next time, can someone get Vigo a cup of water or something?